When you're first diagnosed, they sort of want you to learn the calculations sort of in the hard way by like drawing insulin injections. And so for the first year I was not on an insulin pump, and then I got on one when I was 12, and I was on an insulin pump for 6 or 7 years until I went off to college. And then I had a pretty gnarly experience on my freshman year orientation trip where we had a backpacking trip in the Big Sur mountain ranges. And part of the reason I went off an insulin pump after that was because you have to take so many supplies with you. At that time, I thought I had enough supplies with me. Turns out I did not. So we were, hiked 13 miles into the Big Sur mountain range, and like crazy terrain, and my pump sites kept sweating off of me. And so I was going through supplies much quicker than I had anticipated. And we're 11 miles deep into the Big Sur mountain range, and I almost had to get a medevac out of there. But spent the whole night sort of like very much on the brink of a very dangerous situation, and somehow found a way to get insulin in my bloodstream. I had one pump site left, and I was determined to make that last for the time that we were there. So there were like 9 people in my group with this, and I just stripped to my boxers and hiked the whole way out just with a towel padding on my pump site the whole time so I could make sure that it stayed on. And it wasn't the best situation, but it really taught me a lot about the fact that I need to be prepared. I just can't afford to do that anymore. So after that, I was going on a trip to France that summer after freshman year, and I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna pack all these supplies with my pump. We were trying to just do it with one backpack, and I wanted to fit in with the rest of my friends and also take one backpack. So the only way that I could do that was to go on insulin injections. So I had these like preloaded pen vials where you like just stick a needle on each time, and it's basically a fresh needle. And I used those for 6 or 7 years just because it just afforded me a lot more freedom. But now that I'm in a much stabler point of my life, and like, yes, I'm traveling, and yes, I'll probably continue to be very fluid, moving back and forth between a pump and shots. The goal right now is to keep my blood sugars stable and to just dial in to those numbers. So there's so many more options, and it just allows me to dial in, and I really appreciate that aspect. And since I really have not been thinking about my diabetes at all, which is like such a nice breath of fresh air.